Okay, hi everybody. Welcome back to track 1 after lunch. I hope you're not all super sleepy from the Gregs. So today I am here to call your bluffs. So what is this talk going to be about? Primarily it's going to be about the importance of communication, why it matters, and what questions need to be answered when communicating. This is largely looking at things like security findings, primarily from a SOC and incident response perspective, but it also can be used for things like any form of security research or where you need to reach out and tell someone, this thing's broken, this is why you need to care about it. So, let's meet your knowledge dealer. So I am a senior cybersecurity analyst at E2E Assure. I'm also a computer science bachelor's student at the Open University. As I said there, I'm proudly spicy-brained, I have ADHD, and I will tell you about it within 5 minutes. However, the closest I've ever really gotten to playing poker is playing Balatro. I'm more of a blackjack person myself. So let's go all in on effective communication. So people will often make assumptions based on the things that they see. So if they see a massive wall of text in an email, that kind of looks a bit intimidating and scary. So it's also really important to know how to communicate effectively, because effective communication is efficient communication. You're not having to go back and forth, trying to ascertain what you're trying to tell each other or what needs to be communicated. It allows decision makers to have the full picture of what's going on so that they can be informed as much as possible and make the most sensible decisions for their organizations or businesses. It also helps to reduce delays and misunderstandings. And with this specific technique I'm going to be talking about today, in terms of security findings, it emphasizes what has been happened or has been seen, what needs to be answered to understand what's going on or if that is intentional, and what actions the decision makers or people that you're communicating with may need to take. So with the minimum bet for our communication, you need to be able to effectively and quickly say what you need from the person you're communicating with. Do they need to do something? Does something need to be clarified in terms of your understanding of the situation versus their understanding of the situation? Is there information missing that will help understand what is happening? And there are 5 questions that I'm sure everyone has heard ever since they were in primary school learning how to tell stories. Who, what, where, when, why. So I've placed these in a specific order of what I think is the most important, except for the last one, which I think is the most important. So we'll begin with, what have you found? What is the concern of the activity observed? What is it doing? What is happening? And what impact does that have to the person you're communicating with? Next up is, who is involved in what you are reporting? Is there a user that is off visiting sites that they shouldn't be and you're finding that firewall logs blocking it? Is there a user who is going through Active Directory and changing an entire team's settings so that they can't access something in SharePoint anymore? So who is taking the action and who is affected? And who needs to do something about it? And next up is when. So when did the activity take place? When did you observe it? And what is the time frame from when to when did the activity happen? And where did the event happen? What type of log was it? What device was it? What site or application was involved? Sometimes, especially if you have any clients that have multiple sites, it can also be helpful to tell them which site, as in which office, is impacted as well. And why is the most important question, in my opinion, on the 5. Why does this issue matter to the person you're talking to? Why do they need to care? Why is it important that they answer the questions that you have? Why should they be responding to you if you're asking questions about something that you've seen in the logs? And why is it important that any actions that you ask of them are carried out? It's also important, I didn't include this on the one slide, but when you're asking a decision maker, a client, a customer to do something, it can often also be helpful to tell them when they need to do it by, if there is a deadline in place, or if it's something urgent, such as exploitation of a vulnerability that's known, saying, hey, this patch is available, you need to do this as soon as you can, sort of situation. So there is a communication technique that is primarily often used in the US military, but has come out into kind of corporate and general communication styles as well, called BLUF. Bottom, line, up, front. You tell them the important things first, and then you explain why you need to know. So, for example, you can say, we have seen a user navigating to a site filled with pornographic material, for example. Why that is the important information, then you can provide the details of which user, where they were, what time it was, even what site was going on if it wasn't blocked, because they may need to block it on their network. I tend to try to prioritize what we need to know, what we need them to do, and when it needs to be done if we have a deadline available. And a very important part for this important section, which if you've ever read any kind of corporate reports or marketing reports, executive summaries are also BLUF. But I always find it important to be clear, concise, and to the point in BLUF communication, much like I very rarely am when I speak. So I have really sped through that, so we've got plenty of time for any questions.